Hi everyone, welcome to the session on data science interview prep. So just a few slides to guide you through the process. First, getting started. What does a data scientist do? So the job of data scientist is at the center of four skills. First is data. Second is model, domain, and stakeholders. Okay, on all these domains, once you master them, you are able to deliver business impact. So this is really your job. You have to deliver a business impact using data, model, domain, and stakeholders. So what you need to do is to understand the domain, to understand the business you are in, work with all the stakeholders. It could be your customers, it could be your colleagues, it could be researchers, software engineers, analysts, product managers, and collect the data, use the appropriate model, and deliver insights. Once you have the results, then you have to communicate the results and get feedbacks. And then you might have to improve the models and go back to work. The interview process. So what do you expect? So it depends on the size of the company. For larger companies, you can expect the interview process to take 4 to 8 weeks, maybe 2 to 8 screenings or interviews. The type of questions you will have will be related to data and statistics, coding on software, behavioral questions, and domain knowledge. There are some frameworks to answer these interview questions, but really the frameworks have to be adapted to each individual questions. And sometimes you might have some take-home assignments, maybe a paper to read and explain, or some data set to analyze, and some results to get. Getting started, how to do your homework. At first, you really have to study your company, your potential employer. You have to know what the business that company is doing. You have to understand the mission, the vision. Is it a mature company? Is it a startup? What is it trying to do? Who are the competitors? Where do you think it's going to go next? And you can find some insights online. And you can also try to collect some interview questions you might find on the web, or asking people who might be working in the same industry. Try to identify the typical question structure, and also the skill sets that company is looking for. So first, data and statistics questions. So you need to know, it's data scientist, there's data in the name. So you need to know how to get the data, how to extract the data from the database, how to process the data, how to handle missing values, how to deal with outliers, and so on. You should be able to do it in a language such as R or Python. Be able to visualize the data, right? And explore the data, right? To look at what's the structure of the data also, right? You should have some knowledge, if possible, with big data techniques, right? To query a cloud database. And should be comfortable with basic statistics, right? And probabilities. And they might test you. What is a p-value? What is bootstrapping? What are the Bayesian statistics, and so on. In terms of models, so depending on the job, right? If you are applying for maybe like a job as a machine learning engineer, or like a machine learning / data scientist, then you are expected to know a bit more about models. So linear regression, right? You need to know that, but also logistic regression and lasso rich regressions, time series analysis if it involves a lot of forecasting. Should be familiar with classification models and what are the metrics to evaluate classification models. Basic machine learnings, random forest, boosting trees if you are dealing with supervised learnings, And if you deal with unsupervised learnings, it'll be like PCA analysis, K-means methods. If it's more advanced, so depending on the company, you might be expected to know a bit of deep learning, computer vision, NLP, natural language processing. But usually they will tell you in the job description what the skills they are required, they are requiring from you. Also, if you go into deep learning, you have to know the techniques used for explainability and how to look at biases. Coding or software questions. Here also it depends on the job. If you are going to work very closely with software engineers and you're in a tech team, then you're probably expected to know, to be very familiar with coding, to know how to code, how to commit the code, and to understand the software engineering process. So there are several platforms to train and test for software skills such as LeetCode or HackerRank. So you are expected to master, at least one language, R or Python, and sometimes they might ask you to know something, like Java or C++, but it's usually it's not expected from a data scientist. You have to be familiar with agile development. That's you must structure your daily or weekly work with the team. Behavior, right? So it's really asking you how you would solve a situation. Right? So either like a situation that you have faced before or a hypothetical situation. It could be a kind of case studies. It's very common to use what we call the STAR framework, where you look at situation, task, action, results. But really, it's common sense, right? They ask you questions. You want to make sure that you understood the questions. If not, you can ask clarification questions, and try to say how you are thinking of solving these questions, and give them some options. Right? If you find out like 2-3 solutions, you can ask, do you want me to go into to that particular answer in depth, or do you want to have an overview of 3 to 5 answers? Right. So be open to questions, and always ask questions. And so they want to see if you are able. First, you have like some you are quite structured in your thoughts and your answers, and if you are open to feedbacks, and they want to see if they'll be willing to work with you. Right? Some questions also could be about. Why do you like the role? What are your biggest weaknesses? Or have you handled like difficult projects in the past? And so. In terms of domain knowledge, so domain knowledge it could overlap with behavioral questions. It's really to know if you know about the basics of what they're doing. So if you're interviewing with Uber, right? So you are expected to know about traffic dispatching or ETAs, on this kind of questions, or maybe user interface on the mobile app, right? Optimizing the fleet, or how to deal with drivers. If you're dealing with Amazon, depending on which team you're interviewing for, you might be expected to know about supply chain or digital marketing or so. Also, it'll be industry specific. So you have to do your homework. Work for like a bank, and you have to know the basic of fraud detection, right? Or how you open an account, or financial products. If you work for Mount Sinai, like a hospital, then you have to know the basics of healthcare, of piracy in data records, or this kind of thing. So that will be like job specific, domain specific, and but you're expected to know the basics. So these are just like a few examples of words that they use in data scientist job descriptions. So here, like for Amazon, right? So they have big emphasis on business, analyzing the demand, forecasting, data, statistics, right? You have to be communication, the quantitative, forecast skills, analytical. Next slide would be for Google. So Google also, so you find like, Google statistical analysis methods, quantitative methods, experience, skills, discipline, Python, database, product, right? And if you're studying for Google, you're expected to know the Google products too. Meta. Here also data, analytics, decisions, experience, operations, program, analytical, Python, metrics, okay, modeling. JP Morgan, here a lot of emphasis on learning, solutions, working in team, data, environment, machine learning, skills, banks, agile, scientists. So that's it, right? So go over all these slides. The thing that you are not very familiar with, you can click on the link resource, the links in that presentation. It will lead you to some further resources on the web. And get back to us if you have any further questions. Okay, thank you.